Hello and welcome to the Tuesday Night Music Show.
Hello.
Gonna start off tonight by reading you some song lyrics, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand. It's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town.
Yeah.
Call the police. There's a madman around running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town.
Yep.
Of course, we all know that's Slayer.
I thought it was John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band. No?
You're right, John Cafferty and the Beaver. Of course, Pet Shop Boys are making a reference to Dive Bar back in whatever it was, 1984 is when the song first came out.
Is that when that came out?
Well, the first
came out
version
later.
came out. The Tony Orlando version came out in 1984, and then EMI got a hold of it over in England. They did their new version. I think it was 86.
Okay.
So
Great track.
It's a great track. But they mentioned Dive Bar. And I don't know that I've ever heard the term dive bar until that song.
We had it back east. That was an actual term. So I knew that I heard it probably mid to late 70s. I knew what a dive bar was.
Sure. I was a little young for that. And I think
I was in my 40s back in the 70s, so it was different. It was a different time.
I think most of our bars around here, most would agree, are dive bars.
Right.
Little corner taverns. It's a Milwaukee thing. They're everywhere. Jay's been here. They're on every damn corner.
Yeah, they are. But they're popular again. When I moved to Cali, it was popular in the 90s to go to a quote-unquote dive bar where you'd shoot pool and listen to a cool jukebox and drink cheap drinks. Now they're $10 draft beers, listening to cool tunes that are all hip-hop, and they have a pool table that costs $2 to get. That's not a dive bar, folks. Just because you don't clean up after yourselves doesn't make you a dive bar.
Well,
I was at a dive bar the other night. Drinks were free all night.
Well, here's Jay's dive bar.
My dive bar.
So I thought it would be interesting for a guy like Jay and anybody else who's in the room who happens to know something about this to talk about music one might play at a dive bar. I was inspired today.
Just wait.
Yes.
And I thought this would be a fun topic. Dive bar music.
Dive bar music, man.
And Brian's like, nope, I'm out. No, come on, you could totally do this with this, Brian.
You about to make my brain hurt thinking about dive bar music now.
Well, Jay is going to get us started, and then maybe we can expand on it, because we'll kind of catch the vibe, and we can expand on it.
I will start with something that is, because when I think dive bar, there's only two forms of music I think of.
Okay.
Old, funky R&B that you've never heard.
Rare groove.
Okay.
Or kind of more punky, industrial-ish rock.
Oh.
Like where you're never going to go into a normal bar and hear Reverend Horton Heat.
Right.
But if you go to a dive bar, I would expect to hear One Time, a track by Reverend Horton Heat, or Martini Tom. Or
maybe my understanding of a dive bar is wrong, because I was thinking a dive bar is just a kind of a crap little tavern where there's pool tables and dartboards, and it's not real clean or anything. There's a jukebox, and you're kind of at the mercy of whatever happens to be on that jukebox.
Right. But I don't think you should hear Lady Gaga at a dive bar.
No.
Okay. So
when I think dive bar, I'm thinking Skynyrd. I'm thinking Steve Miller Band. Of course, maybe this is just Wisconsin. And that kind of flavor. Like, they're going to play the Joker. You're going to do the Joker 8 times.
Yeah, I like to take it a little bit deeper.
Sure.
Like, I would, believe it or not, and I heard this at my dive bar the other night. Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness.
That's very cool.
But to me, that's a cool dive bar song.
Okay.
Because it's a little ambient. It's got a mood setter. It's kind of just...
It's listening music is what we're getting at.
Right. I said this the other night. My job is to play music you've never heard and try to play music that you would hear in one of two places. Any episode of The Streets of San Francisco with Michael Douglas and Carl Malden, or any scene that you see Dirty Harry walk into a topless bar in San Francisco. The song they're playing then, that's dive bar music.
I
So
like that.
you could do a bro dive bar where it's like Skinner and Blue Oyster Cult and Steve Miller, and that would totally work. I tried to go a little more like we're off the beaten path dive bar. That's why I wanted to play like old Meteors and stuff like that from the 50s and 60s that people like.
Sure. Yeah, well, that works
Whoa.
too. Yeah, yeah.
I played Dynasty, Adventures in Music Land. That's not what you're going to hear in a college campus dive bar.
Are you catching this vibe at all, Damon?
Oh, Damon's going to crush this. You kidding?
Oh, I'm still thinking about the songs, you know. They're starting to come to me a little bit. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm still trying to get past paying $10 for a drink when I used to pay $2 for a PBR back in the day.
But see, that should be the definition. Dive bars should have cans of beer you can't buy anymore in the liquor store.
Right.
Somebody rolled a
Just
truck.
out of the back room for a long
Yeah.
time.
Wow, I haven't seen a 24-ounce can of Schlitz malt liquor in quite a few years.
Yeah, stocked up. I got a bunch of them back in the
Yeah, I
cooler
got a bunch
there, eh?
back there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We got a
that's
deal.
dive bar.
We got a good deal on them, eh?
Yeah, here you go. Have a Schlitz.
Wild turkey.
Yeah, with a wild turkey. That's
$1.50
that's
a shot of wild turkey.
Yeah,
Wash it down with the Blatz. You got to be great.
I did a track called "Shot of Love," and Connor and Colin were my bartenders Sunday night. So I'm like, "Hey, everybody!" Colin just came up with a "Shot of Love" shot. It's Tito's, Midori, Chambord, and pineapple juice. Because I know I get some college kids in the dive bar. I want to give
This
them a
is
little
hipster
nod.
bar. This is every bar on my street that you're
But
talking
then
about.
Connor's shot was Jaeger and Rumpelmintz with like cranberry juice. That's not for hipsters. That's for the hardcores that are like, we serve BOC. BOC is half quarter cranberry, quarter orange juice, grapefruit juice, and then half beer on the rocks. And those are 10 cents.
Brian,
Take care
dive
of the
bar
crowds.
music. What do you call dive bar music?
Well, it's so long since I've been in a bar that actually has a jukebox that you only could play what's on the jukebox because
Yes.
they're all digital now.
They're all digital now. That's true.
Yes, they are. But it's still the same concept.
What would I hear in a dive bar? No, piano band would be a big one. You hear people would sing along with it. Somebody put piano man on, and like half the bar would start singing it.
That works.
There
That
was
works.
there was a place that my friend Mikey used to live next door to. A little town in Waterford, Wisconsin. The bar was called the Rat's Nest.
Yeah, there you go.
That's definitely a dive bar.
Rat's
Definitely
Nest was a dive bar. It was
Yeah.
small, but the Rat's Nest sold more Miller products than any other tavern in Wisconsin. They couldn't figure it out, so they got a lot of special treatment. Little bitty place, but they sold more Miller products than anyone else in the state of Wisconsin.
Do you know anyone that actively drinks or actively drank the champagne of beer, Miller High Life?
Yeah,
Yeah.
My son-in-law drinks it.
I drink it from time to time.
Yeah,
It's back east. It was a notorious beer. If you sat down at a table and there was 4 brown bottles and then 1 clear, and you looked around at the guy chain smoking, who looked like he was chasing the last beer before he had to leave to go see his wife and kids, that was the Miller High Life guy.
well, let me just say, right, just for the record, I'm not going to badmouth Boston today. So be nice about my hometown.
I'm not slamming the beer. I'm saying that I can see a dive bar crushing it.
They
Because the
did.
guys that are going there are hardworking Americans who are going to pound a bunch of champagne.
Gosh darn it. What was funny
Maybe
about
have
it
cheese
was,
curds, because if they squeak, they're fresh.
that's right.
I learned that at Wigman's.
So
Wegmans?
So here was what I was going to get at. A lot of these guys at this dive bar, you know, it was very, I guess the word I could use is there's a lot of testosterone in there, right? Very macho, kind of working class guys with grease in their hands, you know.
Guys that
those
fix their
guys.
own cars.
And the funny part about it was the song that I would hear repeatedly on the jukebox, repeatedly. Well, 2 songs actually. Killer Queen by Queen and Lola by the Kinks. got played a lot.
Yeah.
And they would sing along to it. And I'm looking at these guys thinking, you've never really broke these lyrics down on these songs, have you? Never.
No, especially Lola.
You're right.
They have not thought that one out.
Right. Or Killer Queen, that's pretty in your face, too.
Yeah, that is in your face. But I think Lola, there are lines in it about man and woman. Like,
Yeah.
you know what that song's about.
Yeah, if you're paying attention.
Yeah. But
You got
those
any
are
dive
yell
bar music?
songs.
Huh?
It's like Foghat. That's kind of Foghat.
Foghat
God.
dive bar music.
And all hell is going to break loose because everyone's
All right.
like, so hard. Like, you know, I have a disc in the garage. I think it's 2 CDs. And it was called Harley Davidson Songs to Ride By, I think. And it was Skinnerd, Steve Miller,
Yeah.
DOC, Foghat, Doobie Brothers. Like, it was all this stuff that every time I did, like, yeah, man, we want a cool classic rock party, something that's like, you know, just like cool. I'm like, I got you. Here we go. CD 1, CD 2, and just flip flop back and forth. You know, 38 Special, Caught Up in You.
Tom, can you think of some dive bar tracks?
Yeah, I can. One would be Boston.
Anything Boston.
Anything Boston. I would say Chicago.
Specifically, what Chicago? era are we talking here?
250-624.
Early, yeah.
Yeah,
Early
early.
70s Chicago. Right on.
Old Days. A bunch of others, and maybe some Fleetwood Mac, too.
You know, I'm thinking about a dive bar artist that I've heard a lot in dive bars because, yes, I've been to them. When you have friends like my friend Mikey, you end up in a lot of dive bars. And something that I hear a lot in dive bars is Bob Marley.
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Bob Marley gets a lot of love in dive bars.
I will name one group you will hear at a dive bar that I promise you will never hear at any other bar. And Brian and maybe Damon can name like 20 songs by this group. I think I can name 2, maybe 3.
Oh, no.
But if I hear this group, I know who I'm around and I know where I am. And that is Average White Band.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah.
I can name 2 Average
When
White
I
Band
get
songs.
someone coming up at a wedding going, hey, man, you got some Average White Band in there? I know I know that tuxedo has a pair of like Timberland beat up oil stained boots at the bottom of it.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but is Eric in the shower?
Does Eric know we're on air?
What's going on here?
No, from the
He's in rehab.
Psycho.
Are you in the
from
shower?
the shirt up. Thank God.
He hasn't figured out his volume yet. All right, never mind.
Well, now that we're in the middle of COVID and Zoom is a new thing, don't worry, Eric will get it eventually.
You know, I'm thinking back to this one dive bar I used to go to, and I used to hear a lot of CCR.
Yes.
Them,
100%.
and
What
then
specifically can you remember hearing?
they played a bunch of it, but, you know, of course you heard Proud Mary all the time. And you heard Eric Clapton a lot, too.
Yeah.
And it was just all around, you know, the pool table was packed, the waiter line to get in there, you know, play pool, and that was the vibe. And
So you're right. You're right.
but that was many, many moons ago.
I'm thinking CCR. Have you ever seen The Rain?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
CCR song that you'd hear if it wasn't Proud Mary. It was, have you ever
Right.
seen The Rain? Clapton, that could be Layla from Derek and the Dominoes.
They were playing cocaine a lot.
Yeah, they played a lot of that.
There was a lot of cocaine being played. So,
Lay Down Sally, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. And Bob Seger, speaking of Detroit, a lot of Bob Seger. Night Moves got a lot of love, as did Hollywood Nights.
Hollywood Nights, one of the best songs of all time. Can't play it on Twitch anymore because Mr. Seeger's record label has said no.
Have a talk with Joe Fuccini about that. See if he-
He's on the no list now. So it's a label thing. You can play Bowie Heroes and Space Oddity, but you can't play anything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Dive bar music topic tonight. Brian, have you come up with anything else? Dive bar?
Garth Brooks, definitely.
Oh,
Friends of Little Places.
yes.
Yes.
That used to get played later again, and the more beers they had,
Mm-hmm.
it became a sing along at some point.
Garth Brooks actually has a song called Dive Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Alabama as well. The band Alabama gets a lot of love in dive bars. And it's things like if you're going to play in Texas or Feel So Right kind of thing. If Bubba's feeling romantic that night, he'll put that on.
Yep.
We also used to hear, they used to play Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yes.
Pride and Joy.
And the sky is crying.
Yeah.
On repeat.
Yeah.
Copperhead.
Little sister.
Copperhead Road.
Copperhead Road.
The longest intro to get to the payoff of any song known to man. It's like there's 30 seconds left. Okay, I'll do the part that says Copperhead Road.
Oh, ZZ Top, I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide.
Yeah, big time. Beer drinkers and Hellraisers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about Springsteen?
Born in the USA.
Glory Days talks about drinking a lot in that, so
I'm thinking about Hungry Heart.
great song. I love that.
I like that one, but that one just sounds like a song that a band would play in a dive bar.
I think Thunder Road would come up first. Or 10th Avenue Freeze Out. I think that period, I think.
The River version.
Yeah.
Anything River back.
I'm just going to give you a few examples of what actually got played the other night, just to give you an idea.
Please. Yes.
Ohio Players, Funky Worm.
Okay.
Wow.
Followed by Kool and the Gang, Summer Madness. Followed by the Volcanoes, A Ladies' Man. Followed by Chairman of the Board, Give Me Just a Little More Time.
Nice.
Followed by Players Association, More Than a Little Bit. Followed by Sean and Star, Hot Shot. Featuring the Dap Kings. Adventures in the Land of Music. Lucchini. Roy Ayers, who just passed away a couple weeks ago, Liquid Love, which is a really great track. The Meters, Sissy Strut. The Olympians, Sirens of Jupiter. Larry Robbins, Sports Studio Band, Are You Free, from 1972. Clean Up Woman. That was a request from somebody. I think Clean Up Woman is Marvin Gaye, or
no,
I can't remember the artist, but Clean Up Woman is the track.
The woman who sings it. Who the hell is it?
Yeah,
I want to say
something
Martha Washington,
Washington, maybe.
Like
Right, Betty Wright.
Betty White.
Not Betty White.
Betty White.
Betty
White
Wright.
or Wright?
It's right.
Betty Wright.
Betty Wright.
Yeah. Stefano Tarosi, Feeling Tense. This was a dope track. It's not on anyone's radar. Hiroshi Suzuki, Romance. It's like a Japanese jazz kind of down-tempo number. You're going to love this.
Are you sure you weren't in like a hipster bar?
No, I was. John didn't work Sunday night, so I had to bring back the official dive bar. Right. You'll appreciate this one in a big way.
Okay.
Johnny Taylor, What About My Love, followed by Lola's Theme.
Yes.
Wow. Nice.
This one, which you'll know, which I didn't know the first time I heard this, 2 or 3 years ago when I Shazammed the guy at the Polynesian Dive Bar in Vegas, which was the genesis of Jay's Dive Bar.
Yeah.
And that is Breakwater, Release the Beast.
Yeah.
Which sounds like
Robot
Daft
Rock.
Punk.
Yeah.
Yes.
The sample they use for Robot Rock. Yeah.
Yeah. Mystic Brew by Ronnie Foster. Ronnie Foster. Thank you. And then somebody commented like, that's the sample for Kendrick. And I'm like, you want a sample? Joe Cocker, Woman to Woman. You're not going to hear that anywhere.
Yep. That's California Love, right?
Yes, 100%. Then I wanted to go down a kind of weird road, so I went with radio. You can't change that.
That's weird.
Yes, this is the point of the dive bar. It's not
Okay.
all supposed to make sense. Body Heat, and I can't remember who that's by. Followed that was the Isley Brothers, Between the Sheets.
This is the weirdest dive bar I've ever heard of, but I
Yes.
love it.
This Is What Love Looks Like. Then Sound
Time to
Experience,
sleep.
JP Walk. Then, to kind of get people fired up again, the Rubber Band Man,
Oh,
Spinners.
very nice.
Then Ronnie Laws, Always There.
This sounds like a pool hall, like a pool hall in the hood.
We have 3 pool tables, 2 foosball, and 2 dartboards in the back room.
In-
You go
in
through the brown curtain on the
1978.
back of the bar. That's about where you work.
Pool
That's to me
hall
a dive
in the hood.
in
Yeah,
1978.
to me a dive bar is like, but our chef is Ming Tsai. You've probably seen him on the Cooking Network. He's been our chef for every episode of the dive bar. Feels So Good, the 9-minute version by Chuck Mangione.
Oh,
Followed that with Kid Charlemagne. Playground, Ready to Take a Chance Again. Ready to Take a Chance Again. We have a waitress named Bella who gets very sad. So I played Barry Manilow, Ready to Take a Chance Again, because Bella gets very emotional.
Ready to take a chance.
And that wasn't enough, but apparently Bella's good friend Claire had come to see her that day. So I played Gilbert O'Sullivan, Claire, which I thought was cool. Mara Hawthorne, No Strings.
ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, it's a good track. I did the Purple Disco Machine remix of About Damn Time.
Okay.
Then I did Heroes by Bowie and followed that with Head Like a Hole by 9 Inch Nails.
Okay.
Mighty Riders, Evil Vibrations. I wanted to get a little disco in, so we did Night Fever. Followed that with the long version of Dance With Me by Peter Brown.
The long version.
Long version, like 8 minutes, I think, or 7 minutes.
It's a long one.
Somebody requested this, All Out of Love by
Air
Air Supply. I thought Scrappa came in, so I put on Kylie Minogue. Can't get you out of my head.
That's a dive bar. Yeah. These rules, he's making them up as he goes. That's okay.
I don't want to be without you. Can't remember who that's by. And I ended the night with You Can't Put Your Arms Around a Memory by Johnny Thunders of the New York Dolls. Now, the point of the dive bar set is you're not supposed to hear everyday tracks, anything too new, but it's also supposed to just kind of really come out of the concept is this is a jukebox, so there's no need to mix it.
Right.
People going up to the jukebox. So like if one track plays well, and again, I'm doing it here, so I can't tell what 8 people watching me are thinking. But in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a cool vibe. And I think I told you guys I was with Chris Cox, CB Shaw, somebody else. And we were at Frankie's Tiki Bar in Vegas, where for $1 more, they spray 151 on top of your drink and light it on fire. And the DJ had on a Dickies gray overall, a red Shriners hat, and a bunch of 45s.
Yeah.
Which he got in his uncle's garage that day, but hadn't gone through them yet,
He's just playing stuff.
but was just playing 45s.
Right.
And Chris Cox went over and tipped him like $30 or $40 after 2 hours when we left. He goes, dude, this is some of the best music I've ever heard, like in this type of bar. with
Uncle
us
had
drinking.
really good taste,
And I
yeah.
Shazammed like probably 70% of what I just read you. I got out those 45s because I Shazammed the whole night. I was like,
His uncle was awesome.
his uncle had great taste in music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was one of those magic nights where you're like, okay, we're at a local dive bar that's tiki, that has some tourists. They have shrunken heads all over the place. This guy's playing the weirdest music lineup I've ever heard in my life. This is amazing. People are like smoking and vaping and doing everything inside you're not supposed to. Setting drinks on fire. I mean, like, it's, you know, when you get all this stuff, your like emotions get really like heightened, and now the music hits you just differently.
Sensory overload, as I call it.
Seriously. But it was a blast. But I love doing them because, again, a lot of those tracks, you guys probably know them. But I got a ton of like, never heard this before. Whoops, what's this? Never heard this before. Who's this? Never heard this before. Because they're obscure-ish.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal, is to at least start the night off with the obscure stuff.
Sure.
You know, and dive bars are a tough read. I think every suggestion everyone has made has been dead on. I haven't heard anyone say anything that I wouldn't hear at quote unquote a dive bar. But I think you kind of can make it how you want it to be like, oh, my dive bar is big on Johnny Cash and David Allen, like David Allen Co. Are you going to hear that a lot of places? No. Dive bar? Yes.
Yeah.
David Allen Co. is going to come up. Merle Haggard.
Baby.
Hank Williams III. Like putting the dick back in Dixie. That kind of stuff is what you're going to hear.
Should we let them off the hook and tell them why we're...
I think they'll be, I think Brian K. especially.
Brian
hopefully
K.
he doesn't
really
he
like
doesn't,
this.
he doesn't ruin it for me, but you'll see why. But when Brian and I were talking earlier, and I'll turn it over to Brian on that.
I get real excited because when Brian first introduced his Saltburn record to all of us, we all thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then I bought one and paid a lot of money for it. Well, one of my local DJ pals turned me on to something today that's happening, and it doesn't matter. I can tell these people it's not going to matter because they're not going to see this broadcast.
By the time this gets aired,
it's going to be over.
It'll be August, yeah.
So there's another limited edition album coming out here in my hometown of Milwaukee.
Yep.
Miller Beer,
too.
Miller Coors is releasing an album called Dive Bar. And what they've done is they've gone around to all of these Midwestern taverns and actually recorded the sounds from a dive bar. Floors creaking, bottle caps getting popped, pool tables, all that stuff. And put some rather royalty-free sounding music behind it. But the record is fun, and I'm going to share my screen here so you can see the record itself.
I'm getting 2 to use when I do Twitch dive bar.
They're claiming it's the first record to have beer inside of it.
Nice.
Is that the video?
No,
the video shows it spinning. Okay.
There's a video that shows it spinning, but yeah, here it is with the head and everything.
Yep.
Dive bar sounds. So now Jay is going to be able to pick this up for $18 a pop. It's limited edition. You got to order it when it comes online. It's not coming online until Thursday at noon Central Time. And for $18, you can get a copy of this or 2 copies for double that, $36.
I might have to try to pick that up.
Why is that one so cheap if it's limited edition?
Well, who knows how much Saltburn was when it first came out, Bri?
Yeah.
That could have been super cheap. We don't know.
Yeah.
But there it is. And there is, if you're interested, there's also
the video.
a YouTube video here.
Yeah, you'll see it changes. It's not the same as Saltburn. Like, this is the audio from this.
This is the audio from it, yeah. And there you go. And these are the noises you hear on the record.
This is what's on the record. I can use it with Serato with the Cross 12s and not worry, but you see the beer really spreads out, so you don't see the blank.
Enter the Can music. I don't know if they're copywriting that or not, so I won't play it. But yeah, that's what inspired me to talk about dive bar music tonight.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting a couple of them.
I thought they'd be more excited about that than
I did too. Really kind of a lull in the
No,
crowd.
I'm liking it. I'm just trying. The technical side of me is like, I'm at the record pressing plant trying to figure out how the fuck they press that up.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, I mean,
and the up and down side of it is this. If you have Cross 12s or if you have Phase, you're all good.
right.
yeah.
But if you have Technique 1200s, it's just beer vinyl.
It'd be a fun scratch record.
Because it doesn't have, well, yeah, you'd either do scratches with it, but it doesn't have a tone. Like if they'd worked with Serato and put a tone on the other side, this would be massive.
Yeah,
Like they'd
you're
sell
probably right.
thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah.
in a matter of minutes.
Well, hey, now we
yeah.
have ideas. We can get together with a microbrewery and do this with Serato Tone, and we can retire.
Yeah.
We'll sell it
But
for
because I have Cross 12, I could play songs from Serato with a
With any piece of vinyl you want.
pad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just need a slip mat.
Yep.
And that's just if I want to spin. Otherwise, I don't need really anything.
right.
So that's the benefit of getting something like that, or even the Saltburn one. It's never going to get a needle on it.
Uh-huh.
But the other benefit is I push the analog button and drop the needle, and now it drops Serato out and it goes right to the actual vinyl. So you can flop it back and forth kind of thing. So
Brian, you bought the Bon Jovi one too, didn't you?
Yes.
How do you like that one compared to Saltburn?
is the
far as
slippery
just
one
the-
wet one have water in it?
I haven't played the I haven't played the Saltburn one, but to me the quality really isn't there. It didn't sound good. It's
No,
good.
as far as just aesthetically, see, that doesn't look as cool as Saltburn.
No, Saltburn because it's got bubbles in it, I think.
That's what the beer one should have bubbles in it.
It does.
Oh,
It does
okay.
until you start to turn it, and then they
okay.
kind of.
Okay.
I think all the air goes to the outside, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's why it looks like it's just beer. But
Yeah, and that
know.
first shot, you can see the bubbles in it.
Okay.
yeah, when he first showed it, it had those two blank spots.
Okay. I didn't know. I thought they were just clear. I wasn't sure.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys on this, and then Brian K probably can testify. Something like that, the audio quality is not going to be the best because it's not really meant to be played like that.
Nobody's
No,
going to.
they're meant to be played.
Yeah,
Yeah, but it's not going to be high audio quality on
Well,
that.
that doesn't matter. It just looks cool.
Exactly, it looks
Yeah.
more cool than high audio quality. So
and again, if you've got cross 12s or phase, where needle is not needed to still get your point across,
Right.
and it's kind of cool, like you're working in a college bar, and you're the DJ that shows
Yeah.
up with Miller Dive Bar, vinyl,
Right. It just sounds fun.
It sounds cool.
No, I
Yeah.
did not drop the needle on Saltburn. I spun it on the turntable, but I did not drop a needle on it. I mean, because I like the tracks that are on it, but why? Why would I drop the needle on that? I don't know what the sound quality is. But I was just thinking aesthetically that the Saltburn one, to me, looks great. The Bon Jovi one,
Needs more water.
well, I don't know. It's just clear on clear. You can't really see it happening as much. I think the Saltburn one's cooler looking. I guess the Miller would take second place on that one then, out of the three.
Was the Bon Jovi one through the ceiling expensive, or
I had one the limited edition of 1300. They just reissued them again, and there's no serial numbers on them, so
Okay.
there's no limit on those.
Huh.
okay.
the reality is, I don't think he's ever performing live again. Not in the tour sense. He might be able to bring in the right backing tracks and pull off a show here and there. But I think his days of touring because of his throat and voice are done. I think you're going to start to see a lot of reissues in his camp. He's got enough money. He doesn't need it, but I think he wants to stay busy in music. I think you're going to start to see a lot of stuff come out from him. That's the feeling I get.
Probably.
They should have waited a year on that, the Water one, because it's 40 years next year, that album.
That would have been a smarter move, yeah.
I don't know.
They needed you guys in the marketing department. You're wasting your talents.
And it's a limited edition of 1300. Where'd they come up with that number?
Are there 13 tracks?
I don't think there is.
No, I don't think so.
I'm trying to think what significance
1, 2,
13
3.
has.
5. No, there's only 10 on it.
Lucky number 13, I guess. Who knows?
Just,
Oh.
yeah.
Anyway, that was a quick music show for you guys tonight.
All right.
This
Why?
Sponsor.
Sponsors.
is counting. I gotta let him.
Slippery When Wet is 15 letters, so it's not that.
Huh.
Yeah.
What was it? Fahrenheit Wasn't 1300.
4,800 when rock burns.
Is there any kind of math that you can make that 13? No.
I don't think so.
I don't
It's
think
not
so.
like. No, I don't think so. But it's supposed to be the temperature at which rock will burn.
Okay.
Things were different in the early 80s.
They were different. This show is brought to you by DJ Event Planner. Check out DJ Event Planner as well as our other sponsors down here in the description of this video. So I hope tonight we confused you more about dive bar music than you already were, and showed you a record you can't have. That hopefully by the time this airs, several of us will actually have this record in our possession because we know about it and